Maybe it's time to stop gaming. But just a bit of background about me. My name is Minges and I have been gaming since I was probably about 4 years old. I remember first playing an Atari game system at like a family friend's house. But the first console we ever owned was a Nintendo Entertainment System, which you can see right there. I've still got it and I've still got all my old games and I used to play it all the time. There was probably no particular game I ever played more than any others, but I just remember playing a lot as a kid with my family and friends. And then when the PlayStation first came out, that's when my family decided to get one. I only found out a bit later in life that my parents wanted me to game as a way to try and bring out my competitiveness. Apparently I was very relaxed and easygoing as a kid. These are all the consoles I've owned, and these are the ones that I've played at other people's houses. And frankly, I think I've been gaming a long time, but it's hard to say what particular style of game that I enjoyed the most. I think the one thing that I love about gaming is that it was always a social thing. So whether it was family, friends, cousins, people that would randomly come over to visit my parents, bringing their kids over, and you would get along with people without having to engage in a conversation per se. I always considered myself as a kid as more of the quiet type. I never really was the type to go up and start talking to people. So having something that was always taking the attention of the other person next to me, while also being able to, go in and out of conversation without actually having to have that face-to-face, that pressure I felt like, was always something I always turned to. Even when sleepovers started to be a thing and having your best friends over, I always shied away from that one-on-one time. I always enjoyed either being part of a group or having something to take the attention off. Like gaming, a screen, TV, whatever it is, just being next to someone I was comfortable with was enough for me. I didn't have to have that conversation. Which is funny to think about now, because as someone who streams and even has a podcast talking to people one-on-one directly, it's not something that always came natural to me and I've always wanted to work at. But in terms of the gaming side of things, there wasn't a particular type of game that always intrigued me. I would play anything as a kid, but as I got older, it was more racing games, a few platform games here and there, but it was mainly like Need for Speed, Gran Turismo, and then later on FIFA and Call of Duty, which is probably where the problem lies for me, because I would kind of go between two main games, which is kind of a meme when you talk to some people, they consider the people who used to go between those two games as not really as a gamer. And I kind of feel that there are a lot of actual real gamers out there who know all these different types of games, platform games, RPGs and all this kind of thing, which I kind of feel like I missed out on. And it wasn't the type that my parents would always give me new games to play all the time. It was very much, we would buy the ones that we had and you would just go back and keep playing the old ones. Like I would never get a new title like every month or something. That's unfamiliar to me. Even as an adult, I'm not used to getting a new game every couple of months. I'm used to playing one game for at least a year and maybe going between 2 or 3 games that I already own if I'm bored of that game. It definitely is a problem for me now with Call of Duty. And I know the people who don't really play it or aren't really involved in that world, I don't want to harp on about it too much. And I'm not trying to complain. It's just an explanation. But the way that skill-based matchmaking works, the Call of Duty experience does not feel like it used to for me. I would put myself in the category of average to slightly above average in terms of the overall Call of Duty skill level. I'm nowhere near elite. And I'm nowhere near being somebody who doesn't know what to do. I'm competent in the game and I can hold my own in pretty much most situations. The problem is that now we're constantly getting matched up against people of our skill level, which kind of makes sense if you're talking about like a ranked mode, but in a casual pub mode where I am the type of person that I only get maybe 2-3 hours at the most to game every other night. I don't come home and play after school. I don't come home and play after work. It's like 2 hours before I go to bed every other night. The rest of the time, the rest of the week, I'm spending time with my family, doing other things. And that's just how the schedule works for me. So when I get thrown into a match of people who are equally skilled as me, it is hard to enjoy the game because if you let your levels slip, even just a little bit, you very quickly get thrown into a bit of a blender of a night. You can have a very tough time if you're not trying to play well. The most fun I ever had playing Call of Duty and any other online game was when I could tell that someone was better than me and learning from that experience, whilst also at the same time getting my confidence from being better than other people in the same lobby, in the same game, there would be maybe one or two people who are clearly better than everybody else, and you would want to measure yourself against them, and then obviously hold your own or do better than all the rest of the people in the lobby. So you get your confidence from going against people that are not very good and you could do what you want. And then when you would come up against someone highly skilled, you would learn from that experience. You would see what they did, maybe little things here or there. They played this piece of the map better than you. They were more patient, less patient. They did something different, completely out of the ordinary, and something you could learn, like you could find something to learn from, which I mean, you can do now, but I feel like the way people play in the type of lobbies that I get into, and most of the people that I know get into, is when there's 2 or 3 or 4 people who are all running in a pack, just stacking right on top of each other. And that's a perfectly fine way to play if that's how you get your enjoyment. But for me, it is not. I want to learn. I want to get better. I want to enjoy my time. And, once you turn a corner and there's 3 or 4 people all shooting at you at the same time from the exact same angle, there's literally nothing you can do. I love learning about the different situations that you can get into fighting groups of people like who are trying to hold different angles and play position. But when there's a human centipede running right after you, there is literally nothing you can do about it. And there's not really much you can learn from. There's not much I can take to improve myself as a gamer. And that's not something that I want to do personally either. So I'm kind of caught between a rock and a hard place. First of all, not having the best time on the particular game that I am really interested in playing the most, but I feel like I'm lost not knowing what else to play. There's nothing else that gets that same focus of interest from me than Call of Duty, and FIFA is off the table for me. The pay to win aspect of it, I can't do that anymore. And I feel like whenever people drop suggestions of good games to play, as much as I appreciate it, I look up the games and I can't see myself playing them. And I don't know if that's because maybe I'm not a real gamer. Maybe I'm just somebody who enjoyed playing a particular type of game or two and just got lucky that I could find them over the years. But I'm not really someone who enjoys gaming as a whole. I don't know. The other thing that happens, which is perfectly normal, is people just fall out of love with it, or they simply don't have the time to play anymore. They get families, they get more intense jobs or other things to do with their time that they need to take care of. And gaming just isn't a priority, which, I mean, I get it. I totally understand. I myself took a few years off when I got married, first started having kids, because I couldn't handle staying up late anymore or doing anything like that. And I wanted to spend more time with my family. Now that I've got a bit more of a balance and there's certain times throughout the week that I can dedicate to doing this, I still do it and I keep up with it. And I do feel like it keeps me younger in a sense. I know I'm 37 now. I'm not the youngest, but I'm also not the oldest out there. But it does make me feel like I'm not losing touch of the world around me because I am involved in some sort of way in this world. But one of the things that does start adding up over time is the amount of people that you realize you don't play with anymore. People who you used to play with all the time are not there anymore. And it's almost kind of like trying to make friends all over again. Like, how do you find new people to play with? It's kind of like going up to someone and having a face-to-face conversation with them. I think it brings me back to being that kid again, not feeling confident in that space of going up and starting a conversation, trying to make friends, and really just sort of sitting back and waiting for that to happen, like waiting for people to come to me, waiting for people to find interest in talking to me and being friends with me, rather than me actively seeking people out. It kind of feels the same now with not having everyone to game with that I used to. Like I said, I know that's just a me problem. I'm not complaining or making excuses. This is kind of like therapeutic for me, trying to talk all these things out. Maybe you can relate. Maybe anyone who's watching this knows what that feels like. Let me know. And how have you dealt with this? Have you just given up gaming as well? Or do you persist? Do you find the strength to go find other people to play and find new games? And what are you playing? I want to know. Like I said, there's a different side to that as well when it comes to live streaming and playing games in a live stream setting. I've never considered myself someone who's showing off a particular skill level or anything like that. It's more of just having a community or like feeling like there's people around to keep me company while I'm doing this one thing. I guess just like when I was a kid wanting to game sitting next to somebody. I might make another video talking about what it's like being a live streamer on this side of the camera, trying to figure out all those issues and maybe the little things that not many people will speak about or even realize are a thing. But if you have made it this far in the video, thank you so much for being here. This is me, I guess, kind of ranting. I did post a couple of videos this year saying that I'm not going to be uploading too much gaming content, and that's still pretty much true. I do have clips and things that I'll do on shorts, but I'm also trying to figure out a way to consistently make something where I'm actually posting to the channel long form, and it might be stuff like this. If you enjoy that, let me know, and hopefully I'll catch you in the next one.